Money Ape had 17 browser tabs open. A dropshipping store, a print-on-demand account, a half-finished Etsy listing, a domain he bought at midnight, and a YouTube channel with 0 videos. He looked at all of it, felt a rush of excitement, and thought, this time is different. It wasn't different. 3 weeks later, every single tab was closed, every account abandoned, every idea dead, and Money Ape had absolutely no idea why. It started with the tabs. Monday morning, Money Ape sat down with his coffee, opened his laptop, and felt that electric buzz. The kind that only hits when you've just discovered the idea. The one that changes everything. This week it was dropshipping. He watched 4 videos back to back. He signed up for a Shopify trial. He spent 45 minutes picking a store name and another 30 minutes choosing a font for a logo he hadn't designed yet. He told himself this was building the foundation. By Tuesday, he had a product page. No products, just a page. By Wednesday, he'd found a new video about print on demand. Way lower risk, apparently. So he paused the Shopify store he'd come back to it and opened a new tab. By Friday, he had 17 tabs open and the attention span of a goldfish who'd just discovered TikTok. Here's the embarrassing part he'd never admit to out loud. Each new idea felt better than the last. Not because it was better, but because it was newer, and that feeling, that buzz, it was the whole point. He didn't know that yet, but it was. Money Ape wasn't building side hustles. He was collecting golden bananas. Each idea a shiny new one, sweet for about a day, then dropped on the floor when a shinier one appeared. The problem wasn't the ideas. The ideas were fine. The problem was something invisible, something running quietly in the background of his brain, like a program he didn't install and couldn't find. And that problem had been running his whole life. Money Ape didn't start doing this last Monday. He'd been doing it since he was 12. 12-year-old Money Ape wanted to be a YouTuber. He made one video, hated how his voice sounded, quit. 14. Learned the first 3 chords of a guitar. Decided he'd be a musician. Practiced for 2 weeks. Saw someone better on YouTube. Quit. 16. Sold candy at school for 3 weeks. Made decent money. Got distracted by exams. Never went back to it. 18. Started a blog. Wrote 2 posts. Got 0 readers. Closed the tab and pretended the blog never existed. Every single time, the pattern was identical. Massive excitement. Fast action. Early momentum. Then nothing. Ghost. Gone. What made it worse was how real the excitement felt each time. It wasn't fake. It wasn't performance. When Money Ape started something new, he genuinely believed this was it. The one. And for about 72 hours, his brain agreed completely. That buzz wasn't random. Every time Money Ape clicked Start Free Trial or bought a new domain name at midnight, his brain fired a small burst of dopamine. The feel-good chemical, the reward signal. But here's the thing about that reward. It wasn't coming after the work. It was coming before it. The dopamine hit was attached to the idea of starting, not the act of building. His brain had learned something sneaky. Starting a new thing feels better than doing the old thing. And once his brain learned that, it kept pointing him at new things. Not because new things were better, but because new things felt better for exactly as long as it took to start them. 12 years of restarts. And Money Ape had never once connected the dots. Until the notebook. About 2 years ago, Money Ape found an old notebook, not on purpose. He was cleaning his room okay. He was looking for his phone charger, and he found it wedged under the bed next to a protein shaker he deeply regretted opening. He flipped it open. Page 1. Clothing brand ideas. Target market, 1825. First product, hoodies. Page 2, Amazon FBA research. Steps to start. Page 3, freelance logo design rates. Potential clients, 12 pages, 12 different business ideas. Each one with neat little notes, budgets, timelines. Each one starting with the same energy, each one going exactly nowhere. Money Ape stared at that notebook for a long time. He wanted to feel motivated. Like, okay, this time I'll actually follow through. Instead, he just felt tired. Because he recognized the handwriting wasn't just on the pages, it was on the wall. This was the pattern. This had always been the pattern. Start, feel good. Stop, forget. Repeat. He did what any reasonable person does when facing an uncomfortable truth. He closed the notebook, put it back under the bed, and went to order takeout. Sitting in his car waiting for his food, he scrolled his phone. saw a video about a guy who made 6 figures flipping furniture, felt the buzz start, opened a new tab, caught himself mid-open, and for the first time in his life, Money Ape didn't click. He just sat there, takeout in hand, watching the buzz rise and fall like a wave. Noticing it, not acting on it. It was the smallest moment. It looked like nothing from the outside, but something had shifted. Because here's what Money Ape hadn't understood yet. The notebook wasn't evidence of failure. The notebook was evidence of a trap, and he'd been walking into it over and over without realizing the trap had a name. The next morning, Money Ape did something he almost never did. He didn't open a new tab. He went back to the dropshipping store, the one he'd abandoned 6 days ago. And he just looked at it. It was ugly. The product descriptions were half finished. The logo looked like it was made by someone who'd just discovered word art in 2003. But it existed. It was real. He sat with that uncomfortable feeling of looking at an unfinished thing without immediately replacing it with a shiny new one. And it hit him. Doing the thing felt terrible, compared to starting the thing. Starting felt electric, new, full of possibility. Doing felt slow, boring, uncertain, like pushing a car uphill in flip-flops. The problem wasn't that Money Ape was lazy. He wasn't lazy. He had the energy to open 17 tabs. He had the energy to research, plan, sign up, design, dream. The problem was that his brain had been accidentally trained over years to chase the dopamine of starting instead of the satisfaction of building. Every time he started something new, dopamine. Every time he abandoned an old thing, relief. His brain had connected the dots the wrong way. New course reward, continue course boring. And the longer this went on, the worse it got. Because dopamine tolerance is real. It takes more new things to get the same buzz. 1 tab becomes 5. 5 becomes 17. The ideas have to get more exciting just to feel as good as the first idea did. This is exactly how someone ends up simultaneously planning a dropshipping empire, a YouTube channel, an Etsy store, and a furniture flipping business all at midnight on a Tuesday while actually building none of them. Money Ape was burning himself out on the feeling of starting. And every new tab was costing him something real, not just time, something bigger, something he couldn't see yet but was about to understand in the worst way possible. 6 months later, Money Ape ran into someone he hadn't seen since university. They grabbed coffee, caught up, and at some point, this guy mentioned casually, like it was nothing, that his e-commerce store had just crossed $5,000 a month. Money Ape's first reaction, wow, which store? His friend laughed, the same one. The one I started 3 years ago? 3 years ago. Money Ape tried to do the math in his head and couldn't quite finish the calculation before his stomach did it for him. 3 years ago, he'd started 4 businesses, all abandoned within 90 days. His friend started one, kept going, showed up when it was boring, when it wasn't growing, when the results were invisible, and now $5,000 a month. Money Ape drove home and didn't put on music. He just thought the guy wasn't smarter, wasn't luckier, didn't have a better idea. He had one thing Money Ape had never given himself, enough time for a banana tree to grow. That's when it finally connected. The 17 tabs, the notebook, the abandoned stores. They weren't just bad decisions. They were golden bananas. Sweet for a second, dropped the moment the next one appeared. His friend hadn't chased golden bananas. He'd planted one tree, watered it when it didn't look like anything, showed up when it was just a stick in the dirt, and 3 years later, he was picking fruit. Money Ape had been so focused on finding the right banana that he'd never stayed long enough to plant anything at all. The notebook wasn't a record of bad ideas. It was a graveyard of banana, trees that never got the chance to grow. But this realization, as good as it felt, came with a harder question. Knowing the pattern was one thing, breaking it was something else entirely. Money. Ape went home and opened the laptop. He didn't open a new tab. He pulled up the old dropshipping store, the ugly one, the one with the 2003 word art logo, and he made a rule for himself that felt stupid and small, but was actually huge. One thing, 30 days. No new tabs. Not because 30 days would make him rich, but because he'd never once in his life stayed with something for 30 days when it stopped feeling exciting. He needed to know if he even could. Day 1 was fine. Day 3 was boring. Day 7, he found a print-on-demand video, and his hand literally moved toward the bookmark before he caught it. He noticed the buzz, felt it rise, let it fall, kept working on the ugly store. What changed wasn't the store, at least not at first. What changed was how starting felt. Without the escape valve of jumping to something new, his brain had to find the dopamine somewhere else. And slowly, reluctantly, it started finding it in small, real things. A product description he was actually proud of. A better product photo. Figuring out how to run a small ad. Getting his first real order from someone who wasn't his mom. It was a $7 profit. He screenshotted it and stared at it for 3 minutes. $7 from something he built. Real money from a real thing he almost abandoned 17 times. The notebook was still under the bed. Money Ape pulled it out that night and looked at the 12 business ideas. Felt something different this time. Not shame, not motivation, just clarity. Every single one of those ideas might have worked. Not because they were great ideas, but because most things work if you stay long enough. He'd been quitting right before the magic. Every single time. Money Ape still has the notebook. It's on his desk now, not under the bed. He's added a page to it, page 13. And at the top, he wrote one line he looks at every time the tabs start multiplying. The buzz is not the business, because that's the thing. Nobody tells you about side hustles. Everyone talks about finding the right idea, the perfect niche, the untapped market, the hack that makes it easy. Nobody talks about the invisible trap, that your brain is designed to reward you for starting and punish you for continuing. That every new idea will always feel better than your current one, not because it is better, but because it's newer. That the dopamine of beginning is real, powerful, and completely disconnected from the probability of success. Money Ape still gets the buzz, still feels it, still opens the occasional extra tab at midnight, but now he recognizes what it is. A golden banana. Sweet, easy, and exactly why his account balance wasn't growing. The 17 tabs are gone. The ugly store is still there, less ugly now. Some months it's a few $100s, some months more. It's not life-changing yet, but it's real. It's a tree with roots. Every time Money Ape thinks about abandoning it for something shinier, he remembers his friend at the coffee shop saying the same one like it was obvious. Like 3 years on the same thing was the most natural decision in the world. It's not natural. It goes against everything your brain wants, but so does every banana tree worth planting. The tabs are easy. The tree is hard. That's the whole game. And for the first time in his life, Money Ape is playing the right one. If you've got 17 tabs of your own open right now, close all but one. That's the one. Give it the 30 days you've never given anything before and see what grows.